Hello, I'm Philip Stoten. I'm here at Productronica 2019. I'm on the Scoop studio, and I'm joined by Jason Spera from Aegis Software. Jason, great to see you. Always a pleasure to get to talk to the top man and find out what's going on. You're starting to really build some layers on top of the connectivity. We've talked about connectivity for a long time, but that's really a foundation. It feels to me like we're at a cusp where we can really start to add value. Is that something you're seeing, and how are you tackling that and putting R&D more into stuff that adds value and less into actually making it work?
Well, that's a really great way of framing it, because now the issues of how do we get data off the machines and all that is it's being sorted out now, which is great for the industry. And I think the industry is understanding more that the benefits we all wanted out of Industry 4.0, that the connectivity wasn't actually Industry 4.0, it's an enabler, right? So we're at the point where now that's somewhat understood. And you're right, now is, well, how do we leverage the data? So we're looking at, and what we've released is AR glasses to turn the operators into a data point. You know, we've got the machines as data points, but now operators using AR are actually a source of data that winds up in trace and analytics and so forth. Another way, and it's interesting what's happened to us in the last 12 months, is now that this data is being aggregated to a level that I don't think has been done before, executive layer people are starting to say, well, I have 8 factories and I have these systems running there, contextualizing the data in each factory and running the process on all this data. And that's great, but I want now in the cloud to say, how is factory A versus D, and all manner of cross-site enterprise analytics. So that's actually another thing that we're releasing, is the ability to do that globally for an enterprise.
Yeah, and I think that's really important. When I look at your role as that software provider, using that base of connectivity and getting to the point where you think about connectivity in the same way you think about electricity, it's just a given. So we park that and we talk about what's on top of it. But I consider your role to be able to deliver that information in simple dashboards to the people that need it, protect them from the complexity, but still have the ability to drill down when they need to. And that's what having these lakes and lakes of data is.
That's correct. And you put it perfectly, is at the corporate level, the requirements are, frankly, a little bit more basic. It's that they want the global view. That's why we have analytic layers, which are highly detailed, real-time dashboards that can drill into very detailed information about the machines. But quite frankly, the C-level suite isn't interested in the mispick rate of one machine in factory 5, but the line level, factory level people are. So we have layers that are highly granular for that, but then we have now the enterprise analytics that are for the upper level management layer of the company.
Yeah, and you talk about the augmented reality, and I think that's an interesting element, and everybody gets excited about the visual side of that.
Yes.
What I'm actually excited about is the audio side of it, so the idea of voice command and those kind of things. And when I combine that with what you say, and I'm sure I've spoken to you about this before, I have this vision of a CEO driving to work, clicking Alexa or Siri on his Apple and saying, how's line 3 in Thailand performing this week, and actually being able to get that data. And that is basically taking the same data, aggregating it, preparing it, and delivering it in whatever way they want it. Is that something that you're seeing demand for?
Well, my opinion on this is that the way these things evolve is it does actually come, I think, from the consumer side. When the iPhone came out, consumer expectations of how user interfaces work completely changed overnight. And then we had to adapt to make our user interfaces better. Now it's what you just indicated, is people can just yell out in their living room and have their TV turn on or ask for the weather. So the expectation is, why can't I do that in my factory? So it's always driving the next level. So you're absolutely right. I think currently our approach to AR is less as an analytical data output and more as something to assist operators and a data acquisition tool. But I think absolutely the next step is analytics through it.
Yeah. And one of the things I wanted to touch on is, off camera you were telling me this was one of the best Productronicas you'd ever attended, and I think it's exciting for a number of reasons. One of them is that I think we are on a cusp with Industry 4.0, and I think it's ingredient technologies, building blocks that are allowing us to do that. So tell me a bit about why you think it's an exciting show this year, but why you think it's an exciting time for the industry.
Well, the show is simply because normally the first day of the show is a little bit slower, and then the Today show we didn't see that pattern. We saw an immediate high volume, and really people coming with specific factory digitalization interest, not just research, as that now's the time. We all talked about it last night actually, it does seem that there's a change occurring where it's no longer on that hype and confusion portion of the curve, and now it is actually in the implementation and reality. So it is really exciting.
Yeah, and you talk about that hype, and I think that hype went on too long, and it went on so long we got into a point of disappointment because we weren't delivering, and now we can. That's the classic Gartner curve, isn't it? Is it the hype, heightened expectations, and then the valley of disappointment. So hopefully we're through that, and we've got this nice steady slope of realization. The last topic I wanted to briefly cover is, when I've talked to EMS companies this week, we've talked about digitization within the factory. They're also really interested in digitization within their business practices. That might be purchasing, bidding, HR, things that help them manage their business and make them more agile and ensure they have a digital thread from the minute something comes in the door to beyond when it leaves them. That's something that's important to them, so I figure it must be important to you.
It absolutely is. I can't think of any decent size MES installation that we have that is not connected via our APIs to ERP, time and attendance, enterprise asset management systems, or everybody wants us integrated with them now, gauge and calibration, because these are more business side functionalities, but the MES system needs data from them, and the MES system has a lot of rich data that can help ERP. So connectivity on that end is absolutely critical in a large scale system.
Yeah, and it creates value that perhaps we didn't initially think of when we were busy trying to connect machine 1 to machine 2 and create a small closed loop. So it really does leverage the importance of data in the ecosystem. Jason, pleasure to chat as always. Lots of exciting stuff going on. I'm sure we'll be talking again. But thanks for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil.